Royal Troon was the venue for the 2009 Allied Surveyors Scottish Amateur Championship, a tournament which is seen as the flagship event for the Scottish Golf Union, as Ross Duncan explains.
It's a week-long event, obviously, with the 256 best amateur and club golfers in Scotland competing on one of the best courses in Scotland and indeed the world. It's the event that attracts the most media interest. The players, that come along this week have got the opportunity to test themselves against the likes of Gavin Deere, Wallace Booth and Paul O'Hara.
A tournament worth being involved with at any level. Ian Thompson, Allied Surveyors.
When we were looking to do some sponsorship, we were looking for an event that would cover the whole of Scotland, because obviously our offices are based throughout Scotland, so it had to be something that would be nationwide coverage.
And surely never a more exciting time to be involved with the amateur game in Scotland.
The recent successes in the World and European Team Championship, that's increased the profile dramatically. And again, that can only be good for the sponsors. So we're very happy with that indeed, very happy.
Yeah, Allied Surveyors have been fantastic partners of the Scottish Golf Union. This is our fifth year of sponsorship. It helps that their team, their staff and their directors are very passionate about golf. They put a lot of commitment into the event themselves.
And commitment's what you need if you're going to take part in this tournament. 6:45 on Monday morning, and Alan McKee starts the whole week off. Unfortunately for him though, it wasn't his year, and he lasted just until lunchtime on the Monday before making his exit. Also out early on Monday morning, Gavin Deere, trying to make his way into the top 10 in the world amateur rankings and reflecting on life as part of a very successful Scottish team and all the attention that comes with it.
It's really taken off the last couple of years. There's a really good group of guys, great atmosphere, we're very successful. And there's a lot of good talent. It's just an enjoyable time of my life, I suppose, if you like. There is a lot of attention. I generally like to think of it as a good thing. It doesn't really faze me.
Another man apparently unfazed was Gavin's opponent in the fourth round, Grant Carney. He took Gavin all the way to the first playoff hole, where he had this to put Scotland's leading amateur in the world rankings out of the tournament. A fantastic putt and a great victory on his way to his eventual exit at the quarter-final stage. One of the most intriguing ties of the week was the first round encounter between Michael Stewart, the Scottish internationalist, fresh from his European team victory and local here in Troon, up against the rather more senior figure of Paul McKellar, a man who had reached the final of the Scottish Amateur here in 1977 on this very course. This time round, seniority won the day with putts like this, although the dream wasn't to last for McKellar as he exited in round 2. Keir McNichol had been looking forward to the possibility of a quarter-final tie against his good friend Gavin Deere. But as we saw, Gavin crashed out of the tournament before he could get that far, and Keir himself had an awful lot of work to do to get past his last 16 opponent, Greg Patterson, a man on the fringes of the international squad. We caught up with Greg to get his thoughts on trying to fight his way into that Scotland team that's enjoying so much success right now.
Exciting to be involved in, definitely. I think it, as personally speaking, it spurs you on. I think when you see guys, obviously the guys did great down in Wales. Obviously last year the guys won the World Team Championship as well. I think it spurs you on. Try and take your game to that next level. Try and force your way into that squad or the team. So that's been the goal this week. To try and do as well as possible and hopefully force my way in.
A man well established in the Scotland team, Paul O'Hara, twice beaten finalist in this tournament. His form this year had showed a marked improvement, taking him to the top of the Order of Merit in Scotland. His first round opponent, Scottish under-16 champion Grant Forrest. Here showing the kind of putting that wins titles. Unfortunately though, Paul was just too strong for Grant. And indeed, Paul came up against another young leading light, the stroke play champion for the boys, Jack McDonald, who had proved himself a capable opponent in the men's game before eventually losing to Paul in the fourth round. Another 16-year-old enjoying life down at Troon was Scott Gibson, who made it all the way to the last 16.
It's just great. I mean, the course is just so good. I mean, I expected it to be good, but I mean the greens just roll so good, and everything about it's just great. To be honest, the tournament's run really well.
Ciaran McNicholl, the 8th seed, did make it past Greg Patterson and all the way to the semi-finals, where he came up against Paul O'Hara, who won and took himself into his 3rd amateur match play final. A golfer enjoying his last season in the junior ranks, Scottish boys match play champion David Law. We caught up with David after putting out Kilmacolm's Matt Clark to see whether he thought he had a chance of success this week.
Before, I mean, you just take each game as it comes. Obviously knew the game against Matt was going to be hard, and you know that's probably the best I've played in a while when I played Matt. And then obviously, you know, you want to go as far as possible, but you obviously want to win, but it's not as easy as that.
And David did go as far as possible, making it all the way to Saturday's final, ensuring that history would be made one way or the other. No golfer had ever won the boys and the men's title in the same year. And if Paul O'Hara won, he would ensure that himself and his brother Stephen were the first pair of siblings to both have their name on the trophy. When both golfers birdied the first hole for a half, the scene was set, and indeed it was a tight match all the way through, with never more than 2 holes between the golfers. The crowds were treated to some tremendous golf, but as the day's play progressed, a pattern emerged. Paul O'Hara would put on the pressure and David Law would respond every time. His short game was nothing short of magnificent. Time and again when he had to, David Law would sink a putt. Here for a fighting half on the 18th to go in at the halfway stage, only 1 down. His nerve also held steady when up against some real problems, having to drop off the path here at the 16th in the afternoon and chipping up to make sure once again he halved the hole, although perhaps the best putt of the day came from Paul O'Hara. Having gone into the greenside bunker at the par 3 17th, he needed to sink this to have any chance of being level on the 18th tee. The game went to extra time, and it wasn't until here on the 2nd playoff hole that the first mistake was made. Paul O'Hara, playing his 2nd shot from the rough, bravely attacked the flag, but couldn't get the spin to stop the ball on the green. And after making a clumsy chip, could only hole out for a 5, leaving this short putt for David Law to take the title and become the first golfer in history to put his name on the boys and the men's amateur match play championship in the same year.
Oh, it feels unbelievable. I can't believe it. I thought I could win it, yeah, but I knew I'd have to play really well to win it. Paul's a great player. There's no doubt that he'll go on to great things in the professional game.
Today it was kind of, I didn't really play my best golf, to be honest, and just didn't really get my putter going at all. I hold a few good putts, but then I just never getting going really.
And what about the man who beat him in the final?
His putting's amazing. He holds. I think last night he said about my short game, saying I need to watch out Paul's short game, but David's today was unbelievable. He was deadly with a putter. So
I was delighted with the way I sort of coped under pressure with the last few holes. You know, it probably is in my character to, you know, to sort of fight away, but you know, you kind of never know what you're going to be like until you're under that sort of situation, I guess. To win the men's amateur when I'm still a boy is just, it's a bit of a dream for me.